Hey y'all. Today it's Lightning Lexi versus Dash, and let's get into it. My opponent won the die roll and they chose to go first. So the interesting thing about Lexi right now is that when you sit across a Lexi, you have no idea if they're on the ice or lightning version. And on a hero like Dash, you kind of need to know what his strategy is, going into the match, because the strategy for Ice Lexi versus Lightning Lexi is actually quite different. I think for Ice Lexi as Dash, you can definitely try and just block them out and set up your items and just win in the end game by grinding them out. It was similar to like OTK Viscerai, where I felt like if you're on against a Lexi, against an Ice Lexi, you can quite reasonably just OTK them because the damage output they come in every turn isn't that much, but they do come with disruption, but you can deal with that. Lightning Lexi, on the other hand, is very, very fast. And so if you try and do an OTK Viscerai thing into them or set up items as dash, I actually think you are unfavored when you do it that way. So in this case, I'm on the Lightning Lexi list, and my opponent went into this wondering whether I was Ice or Lightning and elected going for the style of setting up the items and winning in the end game. So let's see how that turns out. So they actually shoot the pistol here, which is an interesting decision. I could see that being the case if I was running. I could see that being a good play if I was running, say, Voltaire, which allows me to load my arrows as an instant. But since I'm running Death Dealer, I actually disagree with my opponent shooting me here, just letting me filter. And on my side, I probably even could have overblocked it to filter more cards because I really want to see a lightning card to Arsenal at the end of my turn. Of course, that opens me up to getting hit more, potentially. Okay, and then they come in overloop. Right, this is because they didn't want to Arsenal any of those cards. They were all blues and they were all non-zero cost blues, which means they might just get stuck in Arsenal. So I go ahead and block this as well, definitely keeping the E-Strike. Since, I'm not starting with a lightning card in my arsenal to flip to Lexi, E-Strike is one of the few ways I can actually get more than one attack in on my turn. And we still don't see a lightning card, which is kind of unfortunate. But alright. So we know this turn we're going to be doing E-Strike plus an arrow. So we might as well just load with Death Dealer first, since that lets me draw a card. Again, no lightning card, which is not great. This honestly makes me a little worried that we might see a string of non-attacks later, which is like, one of Lexi's worst hands. Let's hope we don't get there. This E-Strike's coming for 5 go again. Obviously going to be followed up with this Frazzle. I sent the lighted up to the bottom because I know I can't fuse it. And if on the really, really low chance this game gets the second cycle, I'll rather see it later fused rather than this Frazzle fused. Okay, my opponent has no blocks on this because I think they're worried about the Frazzle on hit. But I don't fuse it, so they just give us one block here. Or one card block here. I'm gonna take the one. So yeah, definitely, not being able to end with lightning card in Arsenal is quite sad. An opponent just pours the mold and plays the item out. And then they shoot us for 3. And yeah, since, we don't have a way to get go again on our turn, having all these attacks doesn't help. And again, we drew 4 attacks. So this is actually quite worrying. That we've only seen attacks in like the top 10 cards of a deck or something. So on our turn, we reveal to Lexi, just so I have an extra Arsenal zone. Just in case I choose to Arsenal this Snatch. Of course, there's an option where I Snapdragons this. So at first I decide not to Snapdragons and I ask my opponent whether I can take it back. Because ending the turn with Snatch and Sleep Turret and Arsenal like this is really bad. Because I don't have the Arsenal Zone, I won't be able to load with Death Dealer unless I clear both of them out. So I actually choose to take it back and do Snapdragons the Flock. This pops a Quicken token. My opponent manages to block the draw effect. And that's alright. And we finally see our first Lightning card with this Lightning Surge. Opponent plays Whisper of the Oracle. They're just, to avoid the 1/1 grabbing from the top in TTS, they just, drew into the hand and are sending it to the bottom and top, respectively. Whisper of the Oracle, definitely a very interesting choice. I guess it helps them get to the items faster. And then they load the chamber, and his pistol's now coming in for 3. We have a few too many attacks in hand to be able to use them all, so I throw one of them away. And they give it go again and reload 2 things. So we go ahead and E-strike for 5, and then we can tunic out the Sleep Dart, so we still come in with 2 attacks this turn, and we do get to Arsenal a Lightning card. Yeah, opponent just blocks fall. Lots of D-reacts in our opponent's deck, naturally. They're trying to survive until they get their Exodia of items out. Sleep Dart comes in. They give us a 3 block. They take 2. Obviously, the on-hit of Sleep Dart does nothing against Dash, so that was just damage. Okay, then they get another piece of Exodia out. So we are approaching the spooky zone here. On our turn, we flip over with Lexi's ability. This gives our next attack go again. But we cannot load with Death Dealer yet because we have a card in our arsenal, and Death Dealer specifies you can only use it if you have no cards in arsenal. So we have to use one of our attacks from hand. In this case, the Lightning Surge. So this is go again from Lexi's effect. And then we can play the Lightning Surge from Arsenal, which will have go again because it's played from Arsenal. And then we can load with Death Dealer. The opponent gives us 1 card block. Coming for 2, they block with Skullcap. Okay, and the opponent blocks that with Skullcap, and we close the chain to activate Death Dealer. Go in the snapshot and draw a card. So the idea here is that if I drew another arrow, I would fire off the snapshot and fuse it, and I can load the other arrow as an instant. But I didn't draw another arrow, so I'd rather just keep the snapshot in arsenal for next turn when I have multiple arrows. So on this turn, I just go ahead and play the flock we just drew. I reveal the Lightning Press, so I can get the Quicken, which actually was not necessary. I realized this was actually a mistake. Because I could have... I'm definitely going to arsenal this Lightning Press, and so I can just flip it over next turn to Lexi to give my next attack go again anyway, which is the same thing as having a Quicken this turn. Although I guess in either case, my opponent has the same information that I have a Lightning Press. So maybe it's not that much of a mistake, but yeah. I guess in that case, they get the information later. Cool, this pistol's coming in for 4. But we have a really nice setup right now. We have a Lightning card in hand to fuse a snapshot with. Which means we can, draw a few cards on our turns. I've decided I'm not blocking this turn at all. Well, our opponent shoots us again, and we just go ahead and take that 4. So in our turn, we start with a snapshot, which pops the quicken. So this is go again, and we fuse with a lightning card. Opponent just takes this, and we have to lightning press this, because otherwise we can't activate Death Dealer. So I go ahead and press it, and my opponent knew that was there. And then I close the chain to activate Death Dealer's ability not as an instant, just the normal one. Since, my opponent hasn't put armor in front of this, so I'm okay with closing the chain right now. Go ahead and load one of my arrows, draw a card from Death Dealer. And I see another snapshot, so that's really cool. I go ahead and fire the snapshot using my action point, but since I can load Death Dealer as an instant, I can get my action point back from Death Dealer having go again. Yep. So I go ahead and use that as an instant. That was because of the snapshot fuse. Yep, and go ahead and load this other snapshot, draw Electrify. And the moment I see this Electrify, I know that that is what I want to Arsenal. Having Electrify in Arsenal is amazing, especially knowing that I'm going to have a Tunic counter next turn. So I can flip it over to Lexi to get my next attack go again, Tunic it out, and I draw a card since it was played from Arsenal. And that is just like a really strong opening. I fire off this other snapshot, it was fused again, so I get to load Death Dealer as an instant, and go ahead and fire off this fatigue shot as well. And this is what I mean by it is really difficult to like turtle up against Lightning Lexi. They come in for a lot of damage a turn and very wide. Right, so the fatigue shot hits, but again, fatigue shot, sleep dart, both kind of very pointless on hits against dash. But we have a red Electrify in Arsenal, a blue lightning card in hand, and Tunic counter coming up. Right, so opponent plays an induction chamber on their turn. So yeah, they basically almost have all their pieces. So our goal right now is, just to not let them keep enough cards in hand to use them. So we flip over to Lexi, and we Tunic out this Electrify. And so looking at my hand here, I know that this Lighted Up is the last thing I want to play this turn, because I know my opponent is very incentivized to block the first few attacks because of the Electrify on hit. So I want to keep this Lighted Up and Lightning Press for the final attack in the turn. So I'm going to try and see if I can do that. And having snapshots is amazing for that, because it lets me keep drawing cards and keep going wider. So I go ahead and snapshot, I don't reveal the Lightning Press. Keep that a secret. This snapshot has go again from revealing a lightning card to Lexi. So if I have the first snapshot, my opponent is very incentivized to block this because of the Electrify on hit. Like their plan when they see me play Electrify is to try and block all my attacks this turn. So after the snapshot resolves, I will have one action point since the snapshot had go again. And if I activate Death Dealer as an instant, I'm going to actually go up to 2 action points. So opponent has a very efficient block for the snapshot. And I go ahead and instant speed Death Dealer, getting an action point. Load in another snapshot and draw a card. And fire the snapshot, revealing the same Electrify that I revealed to the first snapshot. So this uses one of my action points, but it gives me another instant speed activation of Death Dealer. So I go ahead and do that. Again, going up to 2 action points, and instant speed, and load up this Lighted Up. Draw a card. And the really nice thing about having multiple action points and flock is that you sort of, it lets you like sort of chain attacks even more. So I use one action point to flock, and I reveal the Lightning Surge to get a quicken, and now my next attack is gonna get go again because of that. If this flock comes in for 3, my opponent can block that, and now a Lightning Surge, which pops the quicken. This is coming in for 4, still with Electrify on hit. And I still have my action point to fire up this Lighted Up at the end. Okay, my opponent has another clean block for this, which is interesting, but now this Lighted Up is coming in fused. Yep, so this lighted up right now just by itself is actually representing 10 damage. 4 damage from its own thing, 3 damage from Electrify, and then 4 physical damage that it actually deals. And this is at the end of such a wide combat chain. So my opponent actually, we just stopped to do some theory crafting here to see if my opponent had any way to, block out, to like block better this turn, since they didn't use their equipment, and they knew the lighted up was there since after the second snapshot. So, they could have seen it coming. So I'll just fast forward through this. We do some theory crafting here, and we figure out that there actually was no way for my opponent to block this. Okay, so here's the final way they decide to, do their blocks. They used equipment on the flock over there, and the others are being blocked, as you can see. And then they put the Ironhide in front of this lighted up, so it forces me to use the lightning press. And I do it, and, well, they take 10 damage, because the lightning press makes the lighted up go up to 7 damage. They were only blocking 4, so they take 3 from that, plus 3 from Electrify, and plus 4 from lighted up's fuse effect. So doing the math on that turn, that actually ended up being a 28 damage turn. Like, that's how much damage I represented there. Honestly, almost felt a little like the Quillhand Skeletor Viscerai lines that we could do before Skeletor was banned. And the only setup I had there was, well, a Quicken token and a Tunic counter. Sorry, no, I didn't have a Quicken token. It was a Lightning card in Arsenal and a Tunic counter. Yep, and on this turn we're just doing E-Strike plus an arrow. And I go ahead and press the arrow because I just read that my opponent didn't have a defense react. And that's the game. So yeah, Lightning Lexi, a very different beast from Ice Lexi. You cannot afford to total up against Lightning Lexi as you sometimes can against Ice Lexi. So yeah, very explosive aggro deck. Obviously, as with Ranger, can have some really bad hands that kind of lose you the game. But overall, I have found it to be reasonably consistent because it does run a lot more attacks than non-attacks, and so it's rare that you'll be stuck on a hand full of non-attacks. And also just the play pattern of reveal a lightning card and then play a flock of the Featherwalkers, which is go again from Lexi's effect, giving you a quicken to give your next thing go again as well, is very, very strong. So yeah, that was the game. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed it.